Welcome to the Everyday Game Changers podcast. I'm your host, Barion McQueen, and you know how we do each and every week, talking to game changers in business, music, community, and more. And today's guest fits in the business category, but he fits in the fitness category. He fits in just all around entrepreneur. I got Anthony Mendez in the building. How are you?
Brother, I appreciate you.
Oh, we don't got no live studio audience, but we about to make some noise. Anthony Mendez in the building. Hype my man up, man.
Let's
How
go.
are you?
Good, man. Good. I'm excited to be here.
So I met Anthony. Shout out to Tony Delgado at the Recession Proof event in Miami. And we just kind of chopped it up before the show and after the show, and I'm like, man, I got to get this guy on my podcast because even though you in the fitness space, you really did well even when people wasn't even able to go to the gyms, right?
So that's we're talking during that COVID time.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting you bring that up because, before, really doing what I'm doing now, I come from the fitness world,
right.
Personal training, did in person, and then worked for corporate, went on my own, did independent in person, and then moved into the online fitness coaching world. So I did that all myself. And then I want to say it was about 5-6 months before COVID hit, I decided to move into the business coaching space. I was like, you know what? I fell in love with the social media. I fell in love with branding, marketing. I fell in love with the business side of things. Yeah. And I always knew in my heart that I was never going to always do personal training forever, but I knew that my foot was always going to be in fitness and health. And then made that shift, and then 5-6 months later, COVID hits, and I'm doing the business coaching, and I get a rush of coaches coming to me like, yo, I need to do this online thing. I lost my job at the gym. I'm losing my clients that are in person. I need help, and that's really where things took off.
What does that look like from like being somebody that went from you physically working with people one-on-one to like now it's behind the screen? What's that transition to like keep people engaged and even want to go that route?
For sure. So I'll tell you this, number one, and you're going to laugh. So the first thing, and this is funny, when I made that transition of being an in-person coach and working with people in person, and even myself being on my feet all the time, I'll tell you, when my clients used to tell me, hey, I'm feeling this from sitting down all day, or I'm feeling this, and I'll be like, come on, keep it. I'm like, whoa. I was like, now I know what it feels to be on the opposite end of the stick. Yeah. I'm like, wait. I was like, okay, shift. I get what my clients my clients were telling me before. So I'm saying that because, obviously I'm doing a lot more sitting and stuff, but, it just helps me to be a little bit more aware, of course, of like paying attention to what I used to know and being more on top of like, okay, I got to be practicing better what I was preaching.
Facts. So like, what made you? Because I feel like you was like early to the like, let's take this thing online, and then your online thing kind of blew up. That other people was like, okay, yeah, we was all in the same space, but we not capitalizing on being at home and still doing it digitally. So how was that transition that you was like, yo, I'm gonna just try this, and how did you know it was gonna work?
Yeah, so it's funny because as an online fitness coach, before getting to the business coaching, really when I saw Instagram come out, there's Facebook, there's stuff like, but when I saw Instagram come out, it's just something told me that this platform was gonna really be something different and special. And during the time I was at LA Fitness, I was still working as a trainer. I started I'm going to post a tip a day. And I just started posting a tip a day. And I think I started around, I want to say I was like 19.
Wow.
20 maybe. And I started doing a tip a day. And, slowly began a small following. And then from there, I ended up moving to New York for about 6 months, studied. Then I went to Equinox. I came back to Miami, worked at Equinox. And during that time at Equinox, I ran into one of the trainers who we became friends. He was doing Instagram. And he was like taking it seriously. He really wanted to blow this up. He knew I liked it a lot too. I kind of put it, I don't want to say on the back burner, but I really wanted to make a first impression there at that new job. But I was still doing my tips. I just wasn't going extra. And when me and him would have conversations, I talked to him about Instagram, where things are going, content, this and that. And he was too. And he's like, yo, bro, he's like, look, I want to do more videos. I want to put better content out there. He's like, I know you do too, so let's just start recording each other. And doing our time, like our breaks in between clients, like we would go to the parks, we go to other gyms, we go places, shoot content, and then we edit ourselves. So I actually learned how to do video editing. and I would edit my own videos.
Fire.
And then things started taking off, and I started seeing like a lot of the movements and stuff that I used to do back then also as well were different. When I mean different, they weren't like the common traditional working out. I did a lot of like unconventional training, so it was a lot of like
muscle confusion stuff.
Yeah, body weight, calisthenics, kettlebells, a lot of what's called animal flow. It's a style of body weight movement. So it was really new at the time. It wasn't such a familiar thing amongst people. So I'm not gonna lie, that also helped to put me in the forefront where people were watching content like, yo, what is this? I've never seen this before.
The stand factor.
And I would stand out. So that kind of started the spark of me disrupting, especially here in Miami. We're talking about 2014.
Oh, wow.
2015, when this is when it was just really starting to get traction. And I just continued on. I stayed consistent. I was posting at least 2 posts a day, 2 posts a day, 2 posts a day, 2 posts a day. And then that just led me to open up multiple doors. I had a time where I was collabing with a lot of different like influencer, I
want to talk about
individuals.
That.
Oh man, I'll even tell you one time where, oh man, I can get into a whole story with that.
Because so this is as a marketing guy, right? A lot of these big brands always. So I just literally. The more my personal brand grows, I'm turning into some kind of influencer. So it's weird to me, like that I'm getting boxes delivered to my house of products. And this lady sends me some facial serum. And I'm just like, yo, my wife's like, oh, you a whole influencer out here, right? But there's a confusion about like the ROI when you get involved with these influencers. Like, what was your experience like? Like, I'm gonna do this fitness thing and I'm gonna partner with some influencer. Was it a good experience?
So it's funny because it was at that time I didn't really. I guess influencers were such a new thing.
Yeah, the term was just even new,
and it was just like. I feel like companies were just also throwing cash at big people without even actually understanding who the audience of that person was. Right. Did the audience make sense? They were just looking at a big name throwing cash.
Yeah.
Or if you were verified, throwing cash.
Yeah, they was undereducated.
So they were and that's where, I think it was around 2018, 2019, companies started becoming smarter. And then they started focusing on micro-influencers, really understanding, do they have good engagement? Does the engagement make sense to our audience?
Right.
Do they have more women? Do they have more men? That's when I feel like the pivoting started happening. But 2014, I called it the Wild Wild West era. Of an influencer.
Yeah,
and
you could have bought $1 million and they'd have threw the money at you.
And they would have thrown the money at you. So for me, what was interesting, the type of influencers I was working with at the time was with, you would see a lot of them are really big today, was a lot of these, the what you call the model girls, all these girls that would, come and do bikini wear, or they would do modeling, or they would do all these shoots, work with brands. And a lot of them were at their beginning hype city when they were starting to get major traction. So for me, it was like, okay, I'll train you in my video, and then they would shout me out. So it helped me get some clientele. Yeah. It really did obviously help me boost my engagement up like crazy. But here's the interesting part. Me and my buddy did that. So he was doing that and I was doing that. And we would collab with each other too. So I remember one time, and I'll show you the video after as well, we had a collab of like 4 or 5 big girls and me and him. And the engagement was insane. Wow. And the reach was insane. And it was to the point where it's like, it was bringing me a lot of attention. But then I realized, like, that's when I first realized, like, wait, not all attention is good attention. And also as well, it made me realize the importance of staying relevant to your audience as yourself, not somebody else coming in and being the main factor of you and then overshadowing you. Right. So what happened was, at first it was great. Got more followers, got more engagement. I started, cool for brands. Oh, you're growing. Let's connect with you. Cool. But for money-wise and conversion, it wasn't all that. Like, to actually sell a program or training, I wasn't really profiting. I was more profiting on the brands wanted to work with me. Yeah. Other big names wanted to work with me, but not on the actual business.
You was picking up the wrong audience.
I was picking up the wrong audience.
Their following.
I was getting overshadowed. Yeah. I was getting overshadowed. And what happened is that everybody was going to my page to see the girls. They want to see their body. They wanted to see them this. They want to see like, if I showed you some of the old videos, you'd be like, okay, I see why. Right. You know what I mean? And that's what it was back then. And that's what we kind of, how do we blow up as fast as possible? Cool.
The most
we got workouts, we got, you know, fitness, and we got hot girls. You know what I mean? Like, it was a recipe for
Perfect
success.
formula, right?
So that's what we thought. And for us, like, I remember my buddy kept doing it, and I told him, I was like, you know what, bro? I'm going to change things up, man. I was like, I'm not going to put these girls on my page anymore. He's like, what are you talking about? You're going to slow your page? And I was like, yeah, but I want to, this is my brand, you know what I mean? And so I took a stop and I stopped doing that. And my page took a hit initially. But then after, I remember it was like 3-4 months after I just started posting like only me. Yeah. Right. Cause it was a mix of like some me, but it was all me and the girls, or just the girls. And then anybody would go there. So at the beginning, when it was just my content, now my engagement started dropping because they were originally coming. But then I started noticing a pivot in my following and my engagement. And I was starting to speak more. I was starting to educate more. I was starting to actually give more value. And I started noting a shift in my audience, a different type of audience, different type of engagement. Facts. And then what happened is I started boosting up again. And then my buddy at the time, who kept doing that, he started noticing this. And I started passing.
And you ain't need to pay the influencers. I
didn't have to put the girls in there, train them for free, put them in videos. It was just now me and my brand. Yeah. And that really made me also realize the importance of like you having to stick it through, trusting yourself, trusting what you do, being at the forefront, especially at the beginning of your personal brand. You have to be at the forefront of 100%. Your brand. And I'm not saying collaboration obviously is important, but you realize that the right collaboration is important. 100%. And that's where I really started realizing like not all influence is real influence. And there's wrong influence for your brand, which could be good for influence for somebody else's. So for me, that was like my first, initial experience.
So when do you get to a space that you're like, because I didn't even go all the way back to like, how do you even get introduced to like fitness in general?
So going back, so my whole life, I've always loved sports, been an athlete. Okay. Playing since elementary, middle school, high school. My last season playing football and wrestling. So, you know how it is. It's your senior year. You finish the season. You ain't coming back for spring training, summer training. So for me, it was like, okay, what do I do? On top of that, my weight is going to go the wrong way now because I'm, in football, you're eating like an animal, but you're lifting like an animal, training like an animal. If I keep eating the same, it's not going to go well. So I was like, I need to keep myself in shape. And also I want to make some money. And at the time, my mom was a step aerobics instructor back when step aerobics used to exist.
Step aerobics. Wow.
And we're talking about in the Bally's days, back in Bally's.
My mom had those little steppers and you can adjust the height.
Exactly.
Wow.
So we're going back then, and my mom was teaching. She's taught for like 24 years step aerobics. Okay. And she put the word for me at the gym, and I started as a trainer like that. So I got my foot in the door as a trainer. Just thought it was a stepping stone. I thought honestly I was just gonna finish school, do it while I'm in college, finish my degree, and then move on. And little did I know, it spun me off to a whole direction. Wow. And now I'm doing the whole business side of things and marketing side, but it all started with working at Bally's, and then my career just shot up from there in fitness.
What now that you're in the space that you've seen success as a business coach, what's one of the biggest struggles that other people in this fitness space come to you to solve?
So one of the biggest struggles, and I say this is very important, is that in this fitness space is that a lot of times there's a lot of trainers who they say that they want to be business owners, or they say they want to be able to, run their own training business, but they don't really embody what it really means to run a business or be an entrepreneur. Yeah. And I tell any coach, I'm like, if you run your own business practice, you're in the entrepreneurial space. You're a business owner. If you're running your own practice, if you're working for another gym, that's different. And even then, because you're working for another gym, you have to be responsible for getting your own clients. So in a way, you're like still an entrepreneur. You're just
1099.
So the problem is a lot of coaches, they obviously want to coach. That's what they're passionate about. So sometimes they forget about the business side of things. And I think one of the biggest issues that I've noticed too with a lot of coaches, and I always like to bring it down to the beginning levels before we get into like content and lead gen and sales. And I like to go to the beginning, and I like to be smart. Like, where are you putting your time? Where are you putting money? Where are you putting your energy? And one of the biggest things that I would say is like, for me, honestly, I wish I was taught this. I wish I didn't do it like this. is when you come into the fitness realm and you're either working for a gym, yourself, or whatever, it's you got to get all the certs. You got to go and get educated on every single thing in fitness. You have to go. And I'll be honest, like for any young trainer or fitness professional out there, don't do that. Like it's expensive to get those certs. Like we're talking about each cert can cost you between minimal $900 all the way to like $6,000 certs, $5,000 certs.
Wow.
And for a brand new trainer who's starting, you're not going to have that much money.
Yeah, you're never going to get that back, right?
You're never, exactly. So you're there, finding ways to get credit cards to get these certs because also as well, amongst your peers, but if I have more certs, I'm going to look more credible. So it's like a FOMO thing, right? And you have to think, and I wish somebody told me that until I realized it later is, you don't need all those certs. And also as well, like you're just learning to even see what's your favorite training style. So you get all these certs, next you know it, 5 years later, you're like, wait, that's not even my training style. Yeah. I like training like this, or I like learning, this is my area of expertise that I want to be niched in. Yeah. And then you spend all this money in these certs. So I say, take time to discover yourself. And if you are going to put, like, all you need is your national cert, which allows you to, be a trainer and operate nationally. And then what you do is look for coaches who are certified in other certs and ask them questions, ask them if you can shadow them, to see if you like that style first, and you that's an area you can see yourself in before you get the cert. Right. And where you should put your money in is business, learning how to be able to operate, understanding finances, understanding how to be able to build a clientele. Facts. Learn all the business side of building a personal training business or a gym before even going crazy with all the certs. People don't, to be honest, your clients don't even give a shit. Like, how many, I'll be honest, like, only once in my whole career have I ever had one person, a client, ever ask me, what cert do you have? In my whole career. They don't care. All the client cares is, I have a problem, how are you going to help me solve it? Yeah. That's all they care about.
100%.
So when it's like this ego thing, let's put the ego aside. Don't worry about this. I'm not saying the certs are not important, but right at the beginning, they're not. Later, once you figure out what you want to do, then start specializing in certain areas. But really just lock the business component and invest your money in there first. So that way you're sound.
I feel like I deal with that when I talk to photographers, right? They just want to shoot. They want to be photographers. But when the business get involved, I'm talking and I'm like, yo, can you send me an invoice? You don't got Zelle? Like, bro, I'm not doing business through Zelle. Send me an invoice. Yep. Let's do business, right? This is business. And I feel like that's the same way. Like so like for me, the thing that I can't stand about the fitness industry now is the internet of fitness, right? Not saying everybody's in the fitness space, but I'm sure you probably like everybody's in the fitness space. But now
you have the numbers.
Now you have people that's in the fitness space, but then I don't like the people that get work done, plastic surgery work, and then now they fitness experts.
I agree with you.
They like, oh, you know what? To look like this. And I'm like, whoa, that's Dr. Miami. I know the guy, right?
Dr. Miami.
But now they fitness experts.
It happens.
And it's just like, oh my. I seen this with Khloe Kardashian.
Yep.
She I'm like, Khloe, come on.
Then they launch a program.
It's
ridiculous.
And it's just all about, because it's a brand that people bought into. So no matter what they do, people gonna buy into it. And
that's why I tell people, you got to be aware of what you're also investing in. Yeah. And you got to understand, really pay attention and go back and go see these trainers that you're following. Are they real trainers? Are they fitness enthusiasts that they just like working out and they call themselves trainer because now they're like, oh, I look hot, I look sexy, I can sell some programs and make money. Yeah. But do they really know what they're doing? Not really. So as for an individual out there looking to invest in their trainer, do your due diligence. Go back and scroll through their page. Get to see how their transformation started, seeing what they did, seeing how they worked their way up. Yeah. See who they're, see if it's true that they have client results, and see if it's true that they have hours working with people and years working with people before you make a decision to see if it's a real individual who knows how to drive real results. Especially in Miami, like you said, there's always the quick fix, the plastic surgery, and then I'm going to sell something to you. And it's like, yo, you're selling a fake dream to somebody that the only way to get what you did is by getting plastic surgery. Yeah.
I mean,
it's sad.
I'm seeing the built-in abs now, like abs.
And I'm glad you brought that up because it ain't just girls anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm seeing the guys getting the V etched in, and I'm just like,
Fake pecs.
Where are we at now? Like now, next people gonna have fake shoulders,
traps.
Yeah, I was in the studio 2-3 weeks ago. I'm shooting with this model, and we just talking, and she was like, yeah, I got a skinny BBL.
A skinny BBL.
I'm like, I heard of BBL.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either.
So skinny BBL is for those who actually really don't need a BBL, that they don't even fit the weight class to have enough fat to transfer. So they have to gain weight.
Oh, shoot.
To get the fat, just to put a little something on a skinny body.
That is wild.
Like, bro, I was just like floored. And she was just like, yeah, I got my skinny BBL, and she's still skinny. So I'm like looking, I'm like, oh, that's different. She's like, yeah, and then I had some etching done right here. So, I could just eat whatever, because this will never come back. You can almost feel how hard it is right here. And I'm just like, what the heck is the world coming to?
It's crazy, man. And what's sad about it is that you're not really fixing your health. You're not.
Right.
You're putting a cover. You're putting a fake image Band-Aid over something that's not solved. And the true point of health and fitness is to solve the root cause of your problems.
Right.
And of course, with solving that, you will look better, feel better, and you're aesthetically going to be more pleasing, but you got to put in the work. Because what's the point of looking good, looking all, surgeryed up, and then guess what? You're about to have heart failure, you're about to have all these diseases, you know what I mean? So what's the point of looking a certain way if your body can't even perform a certain way, or is not even up to par with where your health level should be at? And that to me is where it's like, that's where for people, they're selling a fake image to others and giving them hope that you can get abs in 30 days. Yeah. Number one, that's impossible. You know what I mean? Like, and or you can get a butt like this in 30, 60 days. It's like, believe it or not, if you want to talk about real butts, you go to the girls that have real ones, years. Yeah. Years of putting in work.
It's so funny, man, because my wife gives me a pass when it comes to Jennifer Lopez. Because I told my wife, Jennifer Lopez has the original fat butt, right? Like that. Now, compared to what's out now, J-Lo look regular, right? But I used to see these girls, that's the only part of the body they work on at the gym, is the squats and the little kicks.
Little kickbacks and donkey kicks.
Yo, what about your arms? What about the other stuff? Maybe some crunches. And it's just like, man, it's just focused on the butt. Yeah. I literally see a girl, it'll look like it's two different bodies put together. Her lower half is like really strong, and this is like somebody
like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like a mismatched body.
And then you see the dudes the opposite. They're like here,
they big here, and then they like toothpicks holding up all of this. And I'm like, yo, this is weird. Like, let me tell you my struggle. I'm gonna use Anthony while I'm here. My struggle with the gym. When I get really focused, I get focused. The problem is I can get so off focus and get just right back to poor habits, whether it's the eating habits or just like the actual going to the gym. I just feel like one change in like life or the day could just set me back, and it's like, oh, I just had a busy day. Like it took one day of me missing the gym, and then I just went on this bad path and haven't gone back for like 2 months. What kind of advice can you give to people to like really be focused, not just to be just in the gym to be, because I don't like to just be in the gym to be in the gym. I want to be in the gym to be like with a goal in mind.
For sure. And that's a great question, because that's something that a lot of people suffer with. Yeah. One of the big things when I used to work with my clients back in the day, for me, it's about what can you control right now and what are you able to give me that's going to be better than what you were giving yourself before. In the sense, give me in the sense of tell me that you can do for yourself than what you weren't doing at all. Because something is better than nothing when you're starting, and that's how you start building drive. Yeah. That's how you start building consistency. It's the little baby steps, right? For some people, not everybody, and I'll tell you, majority of people, this doesn't really help them, but very small group of people, they can go 0 to 100, and for them it works.
Yeah.
But most people doesn't work like that. Like 0 to 100 doesn't really. Usually, that's when people rebound, or they lack the interest of continuing on.
Right.
So what I always say is, number one, look at it in the sense of like, what can I start with that I know that number one is going to be the easiest thing for me to start with, and that I can 100% control.
Yeah.
And I know without a doubt I can accomplish it. And what I would do is lay out different things. So if it's, for example, like if I can commit to walking 10,000 steps a day, we're not even talking about food right now. You can still be eating your pizza, your Coke, whatever it is. For anybody, our goal right now is I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm your coach, I'll make that goal for X amount of time. Let's say for 2 weeks to a month, I'm going to be making sure we're hitting our 10,000 steps a day, right? And then if you're going into nutrition, I can say, okay, let's see how you're eating. Before I start removing anything, because here's what I noticed. People are more scared of losing something than gaining something. So people are more scared of like,
what they can't have no more.
Versus getting excited about winning something. It's pretty crazy. I was reading a study done on it. So people rather not lose, like they're saying, their home, their car, their experiences, whatever they're doing, than win $1 million. Because to them, for somebody losing something hits more than the excitement of winning something. So what happens is that if I start going into your nutrition and I start saying, yo, let me see your food. You're eating like this, and I start saying, take the pizza out, take the this, take the. You're gonna start like, well, what do you mean?
Hell no.
He's taking everything away. So it's like a big shock.
Yeah.
So you're losing stuff. You're losing stuff. So people, for coaches, and this is for coaches too, when you're working with your clients, you have to understand the psychology behind the tactics of how to get somebody to achieve goals. And that's very important for yourself, as listeners out there, for yourselves, is understanding how you operate and realizing what's going to work for you. So in this case, I would say, okay, let's look at your nutrition. Okay, cool. Maybe it could be where maybe you're not drinking enough water. I might just, hey, can you add 1 glass of water a day? So instead of taking something, I'm adding something.
I like that.
So I'll tell you like, yo, you're drinking 3 glasses of water. Yo, can you add 1 more? Can you do that? And I'll ask you, can you do that? So now you're the one telling yourself, yes, I can do that. Yeah. And I say, you can for sure, 100%. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, cool. And I haven't even taken anything away from you. Right. That's more obtainable than me saying, stop eating stop eating these 3 things every single day. Yeah. That's harder than you adding a glass of water. Yeah. But that glass of water compounds over time. So in a month, I added 1 glass. We're just about 1 glass of water. You say every single day, that's 7 glasses of water combined at the end of the week. Times 4?
That's 28 a month.
Think about that. Yeah. That you didn't have before.
28 glasses, yeah.
How much more hydrated are you going to be just because you did that one little add-on? That's how I like to work. That's how I would work with my clients, is in increments. And then what's happened? Naturally, when we sit down again, yo, how'd that go for you? Man, I feel better. I feel my headaches are gone. Oh, okay, cool.
Just for being hydrated.
That's it. And then I'll be like, hey, can you add this? Yeah. Because now you're like, whoa, hold up.
You're seeing the results of just a small tweak.
And that could be as small as just doing that. Or the walks. How are you feeling after your walks? So $10. No, man, I feel good. Okay. And then guess what happens over time? You start taking away some of the stuff from your own stuff. You're like, I don't think I need to drink Coke anymore. I don't think I need to be eating that. I don't. And that's how it slowly starts happening. Obviously, there's more to it, but this is a great starting point for people who are having a hard time of like staying committed to something. Is start with something small that you can control, and you can tell yourself, I have 100% control of doing this, and I'm going to do it. And like that, you're going to start being able to see the wins. And sometimes just seeing the little wins is what gets you to now want to do more. Yeah. Because you're like, oh, wait, this is working. I feel good. I like it. And that's how I would recommend people to start.
She going to probably hate that I say this. My wife doesn't help when it comes to my fitness journey, because
support system is huge.
I could be focused, bro. But because I'm always trying to make my wife happy, if she has a poor habit, just because we're together, I just naturally go into her poor habit. Okay. When I could probably could have been focused for like a month straight, right? And then my wife could be like, hey, babe, man, I've been just wanting something sweet. rather than just get her, I feel like I have to consume it with her because we just do everything together. And I'm just like, man, I didn't need that cheesecake, man. I was doing so good until you told me you had a craving, and then I just backtracked. And it's like, man, I gotta. So now with me starting at this gym on Monday, I'm like, yo, you on your own. Like, I'm gonna meal prep my own stuff. Whatever you eat, you on your own. Don't bother me. I don't want no snacks. Leave me alone, because she's kind of the culprit sometimes.
I'll tell you this, man. Like, one of the biggest things that when I would work with a client, the first thing I would ask them was, how was your support system at home? Because psychologically, it makes a huge difference when you have somebody who's supportive. Yeah. Or maybe somebody who's, it's not that they're not supportive of you, but
it's hard for them.
It's hard for them, and then it makes it hard. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, like, sometimes it comes to the point where obviously there has to be a certain level of willpower. Yeah. Or there's also have to be a certain level of having a real strong conversation between you and your partner. Yeah. And that's something that a lot of my clients, I'll be like, hey, do you need me to help you or walk you through how to have a conversation with your partner? Yeah. So they can also realize, like, how serious this is for you. Yeah. And sometimes it is about having that conversation. Yeah. And just also as well reminding them again of your goals. And
I'm focused now. She in trouble now. She's in trouble. I'm like, I'm buying all the groceries. I'm taking it all out the house.
Or invite her. Like, sometimes too, it takes you inviting them. Yeah. Sometimes they get intimidated, and they actually are looking to be invited to see how they can be part of your journey. So sometimes I'll tell some of my clients back then, I'm like, invite them. Like, maybe it's just they want to be part of it and they don't know how to tell you. Invite them into your journey. Let them participate in your journey. And now you guys are working together in achieving, both your health and fitness goals. So it's just finding also, well, what works amongst, the couple. Yeah. And then, focused on finding the best way for you.
So my path, this is the path I'm trying to take now. I'm going to get fine and then hope she be like, man, he look fine. I want to get fine too. Because what happened before, I had got really focused, man. I literally stopped eating meat for a year. I was just like really measuring my cups of rice, and I was like really, really focused. I started losing more weight faster than her. And
men usually do.
And she was getting, like, we was doing these little weigh-ins, right? And she was just getting, she's like, I'm doing the same thing as you. We doing the same exercises. I'm doing the elliptical, the same amount of miles as you. And I'm just like, is you a woman?
That one, and also too, like, your body's gonna being a man and a woman, your body's gonna respond different than hers. She might need a different stimulus, right? And she might need a different amount of food, and she might need a different types of workouts that are gonna help her than you doing. So when it comes to even between me and you, we're not gonna be exactly the same, but we'll be closer than a woman and a man. A woman's going to need different demands than a man needs when it comes to working out, when it comes to nutrition. Their bodies are shaped differently than ours. Their work capacity is different. Their energy expenditure is different than ours. Their muscle building capacity is different than ours. Their fat storage is different than ours. Women store more fat than men. Why? Because they need it for conceiving. Yeah. And naturally their body will produce it more. Got it. So makes it more challenging for them. So when it comes to building a program, that's why it's so different. It has to be different. It has to be specific. Got it. And as much as like you work together, you push each other your goals, the regimens need to be different.
Completely different. Yeah. How do you balance, like, because you've done a really good job of going from, okay, I'm fitness and I'm a trainer, but now you really big on the business aspect of, like, look, I'm learning business and systems that if I wanted to go in another industry, I could, right? What was that click moment for you that's just like, yeah, I can do fitness and I can teach and I can coach, but the business got to be right. Now I'm business mindseted. So if I want to go sell golf clubs tomorrow, I know what I'm doing because I understand business. Yeah. What was that click for you?
So what really built my confidence, number one, was working at Equinox. So working at Equinox for me, it was an eye-opener, number one, and made me realize, like, no, I can make money in the fitness industry as a trainer. So it built my confidence in selling high ticket. Because at Equinox, we're talking about sessions will cost you up to $250 for sessions. Okay. So not any trainer can sell a $240, $50 session And we're not talking about individual, we're talking about in a package. So if you're talking about clients have to pay a package in full, 12 sessions, 24, 36, 48 sessions, these packages can range usually from 2 to 7K, 8K packages. So we're talking about high ticket.
Yeah.
So that really opened my eyes in the sense of money can be made. And it also, it made me realize as well that it's all about how you position yourself. It's all about how you interact. It's all about how you meet people. It's all about you connect with people. And then I started learning all those humanized skill sets that we need to be able to connect, to be able to increase our network, do sales. That opened up my confidence and build that up. Then from there, as I became a successful trainer, then it opened my doors of realizing tools like Instagram, tools like for marketing, advertising, promoting, and then building a personal brand. And that's opened my eyes of like, whoa, like what I'm doing here at Equinox is just so small compared to how I can put myself out there. And then I started learning about how to utilize tools to get myself more exposure and, putting all those things together to be able to build a presence. And, for there, I started opening my interest and wanting to understand more, how does successful businesses work? How are they get themselves to be able to scale at certain levels? How can people be able to build these powerful brands and leverage? And I started just going into a rabbit hole of learning all this stuff. Yeah. And obviously I was using it for fitness at the time, but then I realized like, well, this is cool. I can use this for other stuff.
That's the part.
And I realized too, man, like in fitness, if you want to be successful, you have to take this business side very seriously. When I mean successful is if you want to automate, because automating in fitness for years has always been a very hard thing. They've always said you're a slave to your gym. You're a slave to your clients. You're a slave. So fitness has never been seen as something that you can really, truly automate or something that you can make a career, full-time career of, because it's exhausting.
Right.
It's very roller coastery, like ups and downs. And I liked the challenge. I wanted to take the challenge. Like, you know what? I want to go against that and say that's not true.
Right.
And that's where I started diving even more and learning how to do it for myself first, and automate my fitness business and take it online and have hybrid where I had in person and online, and then fully go online and test different things, test. I figured out the system that worked, and then how I started getting clients on recurring. And I was like, I just automated my fitness business, and people had said that
it couldn't be done.
This couldn't be done.
So
you know what I
Billy
mean?
Blanks, right? Let me ask you something. How have you seen your business grow since you started taking your personal brand serious?
Oh, huge, man. Huge. I tell people all the time to them, I'm like, and obviously a company brand is important, but I'll tell you right now, I think your personal brand is even more important in today's day and age. Number one, because it connects with people on a personal level, relatable. It's relatable. It also shows a human side of your business and you. It gets people to feel like I'm a degree away from the actual person who operates and is the face of this business.
Facts.
And then also as well, like people will remember you more. Like if you really look in today's world, like when you hear Tesla, who do you think of?
Elon Musk.
When you hear Amazon, who do you think of?
Bezos.
Right? So you look at those two guys, but when I tell you who's the owner of Coca-Cola,
I don't know.
Right, exactly. Right,
Buffett owns a little percentage, right?
So you look at these guys. Why? Because they've done a good job of putting themselves out there, exposing themselves. Especially Elon, even more in the last few years. Like, why do you look at what he's doing with Twitter?
Yeah,
like these guys understand what it is to be able to have your name.
Yeah.
Be important and build a personal brand and get yourself out there, and you're constantly seeing that that's winning, and that building a personal brand becomes an extension to. Your personal brand is like the center, and then your businesses become the extensions of your personal brand, and then your personal brand will fuel the different extensions that you have into your other businesses, and it starts there because the trust, the credibility, the authority, that everything is going to start from in here, and then it's going to spread to your businesses. And I'll tell you, that's what's going to win every day. And if you can also be the best at the beginning, if you can be the strongest customer service yourself in your personal brand or in your businesses, you're going to win in the long shot. When Elon bought Twitter, Who was the one putting all the polls on Twitter? Elon. Who's the one that threw up the chart? Hey, should we get Trump back on the Twitter? Or should we do this? Who's the one replying to all the people on Twitter? Elon was the guy. So who was the biggest customer service agent on Twitter? Elon Musk. A multi-billion, the richest man in the world. Do you think he needs to be doing that?
No. You're right. No,
that's why he's winning.
It's for me. My audience probably hears this a lot from me because I've seen what it's done to my other businesses. So you being somebody that has a really strong personal brand, I needed them to hear. Sometimes it's not the message, it's the messenger sometimes. So if they I'm beating it in their head, but maybe you might have a little tact or it might come different from you. But so the people that watch my platform, is some of these people are, maybe they not already entrepreneurs. Maybe they got a little side hustle. Maybe they looking to get into the entrepreneurship space and they want that little side hustle to take over. What's one piece of advice you could leave for that person that's just like looking to get, where do I start? Like I want to just get started at something.
I would say the biggest thing you can do is don't worry about, number one, don't worry about trying to play catch up with everybody else, in the sense of don't try to think that you have to now force your way or fast track your way to somebody you've been following for a long time that you've been inspired by.
Right.
Because that's a natural thing to do, where we see like, oh my God, this, let's say for example, maybe you have a 24-year-old who's watching your stuff, has a side hustle, wants to break through, and he's watching another 24-year-old who's now a multimillionaire who figured it out. Yeah. Don't worry about that. Like, don't worry about that person. Worry about the fact that you have something, you started something, and you will have your time. Right. Because I think one of the biggest things to understand is that you should never compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. That person had their own chapters that they went through. They had to go through that. That's why they're in their chapter 20 versus you starting in your chapter 1. You have to go through that time period. You have to go through that struggle. You have to go through the paying your dues. You have to go through the figuring it out. You have to go through that. And then you'll be able to start experiencing the fruits of your labor. So for anybody starting within their side hustle, wanting to take a next level, that's the biggest thing, because mindset-wise, if you start letting that eat you up, you're going to lose. Yeah. And I think that at the end of the day, everything starts with mindset. Because if you don't allow your mind to be strong or building it, you're going to lose long term. If you start comparing yourself, if you start letting social media eat you up with everything you see on there, like the cars, the women, the houses, the stuff that we're talking about before we started this, it can easily get at you. And let's be honest, like, we've had moments where it's gotten at us. Like, I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? Like, I've had my moments. Yeah. Like, I'd be lying to anybody if I told you I haven't. But I've learned to be able to suppress and manage my mindset issues as best as possible, to say, you know what? I'm doing something. Most people are not doing something. I'm actually creating success. I'm actually impacting lives. I'm actually moving in the right direction. I'm able to have opportunities. And then one day I'll get to be in the levels of some of these multi-millionaires or millionaires where I strive to be. But let me look back at where I was. Oh my God. 5 years ago, I was praying for where I'm at now. Mm-hmm. So let me appreciate that, for a moment. Okay. Because sometimes we also as well don't realize what we have created. And the same thing goes for that person who started the side hustle. If you've had a side hustle for a year and you're wanting to blow it up, also look back a year before and say, what'd you pray for where you wanted to be a year where you're at currently right now? And sometimes you don't realize because we're so caught up in the next. And I've been a huge person that used to not be like that. I used to all the time beat myself, get on myself. And I remember years ago, I worked with a coach, and she like literally made me realize the importance of sometimes looking back to see the success created, because you don't even see it yourself because time moves so fast. Yeah. So for me, those are just some of the things that I would say mindset-wise initially to like really like pay attention to.
Well, I want to thank you for blessing us with your gems. Y'all make sure y'all follow Anthony on all his platforms. Mendez Fitness is your Instagram. And I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate the love. Thank you so much.
Y'all been tuned into another episode of the Everyday Game Changers podcast. This episode definitely wasn't no different. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, do all of that thing, man. And we'll see y'all on the next one.